Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetic movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis?
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Hey soldiers, no longer is it acceptable for you to come in to work, do your job to the best of your ability, help the company perform, make money, and then leave at the end of the day and go home. No, now you are required in more and more companies to adopt a certain belief system. And if you don't do it, well, you can find a new job. Okay, you can leave this company. That's basically what one of the HR bigwigs at Target had to say. We've got some leaked video from a Zoom meeting, and I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to get a load of what they're talking about. And then we're going to discuss it, and we're also going to discuss how DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion in these corporations is going to make it more difficult for workers to just come to work, do their job, earn a steady, honest paycheck. Because now you are required to think in a certain way. The corporation is demanding you think in a certain way. So while they talk a good game on diversity and inclusion, they're not trying to include diverse methods of thought. Now look, I know somebody's going to allege, and these ladies that you'll see in a moment, mind you, they're all ladies, quite a diverse group, right? They would allege that, well, you're not allowed to, if you are someone who doesn't like a certain group of people, then we don't want you here. But in my experience, most people have been able to come to work, put their differences aside, okay, and work productively with other people who they may not want to go get a beer with after work. And that's okay. But let's hear from Target's management on how they feel about what you need to do in terms of your behavior. Something very key in this, we'll get to it after we hear from the ladies.
It is important for us to also acknowledge that not everyone is going to believe or be bought into our strategies and our priorities on this topic. They just aren't. And so when we talk about leader accountability and the importance of representation in these strategies and these goals being integrated into someone's responsibility, like just to be really pragmatic and practical, then it becomes, okay, you don't we may not be able to change your mind shift on appreciating why this is important, but you do understand that as a part of your job responsibilities, you will lead inclusively, you will have representation on your team, you will be responsible for these behaviors, values, and expectations. And it also, quite frankly, puts a light on the folks that don't believe in this, but emphasizes that you still have to do it to do this job, to be a part of this company. And eventually, you'll see a change in their mindset, or they may leave. And, that's a part of this process too. This isn't for everyone. But what has to be for everyone is accountability, and accountability comes with transparency. It's really important.
All right, that was Kiera Fernandez. She is the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer and Vice President of Human Resources over at Target. Her position is not responsible for bringing in one thin dime. Okay, she's not in sales, which is what Target does. You would think that they somehow make money off of, writing books about these esoteric principles. Okay. Now, again, I haven't been in corporate America for quite some time. I was there in the old days. I left in 2008 when they cared about things like sales quotas, for example. And I can literally tell you that even though I was in the regulatory and lobbyist world back then, before all that, I was there in corporate America. And at one point, I was responsible for a sales team. And I can tell you, okay, the person who hired me for that sales management job way back in the day, that person, it was really clear that this person wasn't hanging out with you if you were black, okay, after work. But, all right, this individual understood that their performance was linked directly to the performance of his team. And if he could get, folk on the team that would be able to perform and boost sales, he was okay with that. He didn't give a damn what you were when it came to actually doing the job. And guess what? I didn't want to hang out with him after work. And that was okay. All right? It's fine. But in that job, we all meshed. And he did, in fact, even back then, before we all started talking about all this stuff, this individual had a very diverse team. I mean, very diverse, okay? All of these little boxes that you must check today, he had those checked back then. And the main thing that he was concerned about was performance, sales performance, okay? So he happened to have a diversity of ethnicity, of gender, even had a person who was of different sexual orientation, all right, different from the norm, the mainstream back at that time, okay, and still today. But we all meshed together, okay? And when we had meetings, worked well. We were on top of the world, okay, literally in sales for that company. But now we have this coven of HR folk who are more concerned with these surface, esoteric DEI benchmarks. I didn't hear them say one thing about sales performance. I didn't hear them say one thing about boosting the stock of the company. And take a look at that, okay, over the last month. Look at how abysmal that is. And this trend may in fact continue because right now, people are pissed off at Target, okay? Because, as I always say, instead of them doing what was necessary to sell to just people in general, they chose to pursue this ideal of division and bifurcation and balkanization that is all the rage, all right, in corporate America right now. And, look where it got them. So that is, what's going on at Target. $9 billion worth of accountability has evaporated in the last few weeks here, thanks to the Budweisering, the internal self-inflicted Budweisering of Target, okay? So Jim Rickards. Now, Rickards is out there saying that, look, if this hyper focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because remember, it's not, when it comes to this subject, they want to see check boxes marked. They want to see boxes check marked. They're not into diversity of thought. All right. You got to think like them. Or, as you heard her say, you can find a new place to work. So they're not into diversity of thought. Okay. They don't want to hear about someone's, religious beliefs. I got another buddy who is in corporate America, and he said recently they were having a meeting. And they said, okay, we want everybody to stand up in the meeting and introduce yourselves and give us your pronouns. And he stood up and said, I'm so-and-so, I'm in this department. And he sat down. And they were looking like, you got to play the game. This is horse shit, okay? I mean, and I hate to curse on this platform, but sometimes I'm just so at a loss for words with what these corporations are doing. Now, the other thing is a lot of folk are lamenting this big time because they're saying, look, all I want to do is work and make a paycheck. All right. So when you think about it, are they really changing any minds? Or are people just saying, look, I just got to do what I got to do. 5 o'clock will roll around and I can just be me. But then this begs another question from the standpoint of a share owner. Okay, someone who may own stock in a company like Target or Anheuser-Busch, is this helping you at all? Because remember, you as an individual, okay, we're not immortal. It's not like we're some foundation or, some sovereign wealth fund and we've got, the better part of a century, just sit on the money, make 3% on the billions we got in here and we'll be fine. No, that's not the experience that we're having. That's why Jim Rickards is saying that the letters DEI stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a mantra of corporate and political America today. It sounds good. Who doesn't like diversity in experience and conversation? Who doesn't support equality? He says equity. I say equality. Okay. So what does equality look like? It looks like me having the same shot at an opportunity if I have equal skills and experience to someone else. So some client's going to take a look, say, okay, well, this guy beats Tyrone out because he's got a couple of more years of experience or he's dealt with a bigger client or blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. I keep going at it, okay? But equality does not guarantee an outcome, all right? It doesn't, and this is what the equity thing wants to see. They want to see a guaranteed outcome, and that's dangerous. Because you got a big variable in there, and that variable is who's coming in the store to buy my product. That's the bottom line. And in terms of that, I don't care who it is. I don't care, as long as they've got money to spend, come on in. Come one, come all. Rickards goes on, and what's wrong with the inclusion of individuals in larger groups and institutions? Nothing. The problem is that none of these words is used in any common sense way. They're used in Orwellian fashion to mean almost their exact opposites. Diversity means uniformity of thought and practice along ideological and political lines. Isn't that the vibe you just got from those ladies? That one woman in particular, the VP of HR. Equity does not mean equality of opportunity. It means equality of result, which involves handicapping the most talented and taking from the most productive to give handouts to the laziest and least motivated. Listen, when she said your team, she alluded to the fact that she wanted to see diverse teams, okay? What about teams that can perform, okay? What about that? If you see a team that's got all white people on it, who's got the problem here? You? That automatically assumes that there's something wrong with that, okay? Maybe this is just the right combination of people to do this job at this time. I once worked for an individual who had, we had about 7 members on that team. We were doing something technical for Verizon. And he came to me one day and he said, hey, I got nothing but black folk on my team. Do you think that someone might see that as a problem? He is a white person. I said, let me ask you a question. When you hired us, did you do so based on the notion that we are the best people available for this task at this time? And he said, yeah. I said, well, it doesn't matter what color we are, okay? The numbers look good. We're doing good, all right? So let's just keep it moving. One day, maybe you'll get, one of us will leave. And you'll hire someone else that looks different, But the thing that needs to be the highest priority is that they can actually do the damn job, okay? Inclusion means exclusion of whites from black dorms. We've seen that. From even all black graduations. We're getting into that, okay? Where Berkeley just had an all black graduation. We're regressing. It means exclusion of unpopular speakers from public venues and exclusion of ideas that vary from a politically rigid orthodoxy. The diversity, equity, and inclusion thought agenda is being enforced by armies of inspectors and compliance officers who will fire you, demote you, and denigrate you in front of your peers if you deviate from their thought control. That's what, when they asked my friend to say, what do you call it? The pronouns. That, if you're getting that in a corporate setting, that's kind of level setting. This is where we're going, guys, and you're all going to conform. I'm sure they wrote his name down. Nonconformist, okay? It's time for DEI to D.I.E. It's time to exclude these ideas from the campuses, institutions, and corporations where they prevail. Many decent-minded Americans have begun to push back against the DEI agenda, but none more aggressively and successfully than Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. DeSantis has just signed legislation that eliminates DEI in higher education. I would go one further and say that you're seeing the American public start to push back against these notions, okay? They're getting it from all angles. And a lot of people are saying, hey, now even if you say I'm not racist or I don't see color, that means you're racist, okay? This is what happens when you let the left control the language. So you don't see racist, might be married to a black woman. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. You're still a racist. Robin DiAngelo, she writes these books on inherent racism. Now, this is a white woman, okay? And she goes into these corporations and she says all white people are inherently racist. And she's white. So if you're admitting that you're a racist, why should we sit here and listen to you any further? Why shouldn't you be shown the door? Why are we investing in your books? You're racist. You're saying that, not me. So this is how ridiculous this whole thing has gotten. And look, it's affecting the stocks of these major companies. Get woke, go broke. It is a thing, all right? Disney, look at all the controversy they're involved in down there in Florida with different tax structures. They're making movies that aren't making any money, okay? And let me say this, because there's this trend among Hollywood, the Hollywood types, especially Disney, where they got to take characters that were originally white. This is a money-losing proposition. You got to take a character that was an originally white character, like Superman, for example. All right, Superman's white, fine. Come up with a character that is original, okay? Don't just, put a black face on. That's not creative at all. Hollywood, if you really want to do something, if you want black characters, check this out. Here's an original black character. I don't know if this is flipped for you guys or not. Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel, okay? They produced that. It's already out there. It exists, okay? Take a chance. But Disney, and plenty of other production companies, but Disney in particular, has followed this woke agenda. And listen, for those of you who might want to say, well, you can't even define woke. Woke is a hyper focus on leftist political ideology, okay? Hyper focused. It doesn't even have to make sense. It's just a hyper focus on, and you'll never drill down to, an ultimate goal. The goalposts keep changing in this woke agenda. So you have companies like Disney who can't get out of their own way because look at what they've done with Star Wars. Crap, okay? It's absolute garbage. And look, Star Wars wasn't ever that good to begin with, okay? So you could have taken it to a whole nother level, but you wanted to be woke instead, all right? After Endgame, God, can you make something other than a superhero movie? Okay, that went to the dogs. So it's getting to a point where we're really going to have to take a look at these companies and add another metric to our fundamental analysis. And that metric will be along the lines of, hey, are they going crazy with this woke agenda, with this DEI stuff? Because if they are, it has proven not to be a winner in terms of making money. And the people that protest the loudest, especially like in the comic genre, okay, the people that protest the loudest about a lack of diversity, equity, and inclusion in mythical characters, okay, these people don't even consume the content by and large. So they're not actually contributing to the bottom line. They're just like most leftists, they're loud. They're not legion, all right? So Look, that's what's going on out there, guys. I know it's hard to go in here to these jobs and bite your tongue and, put up with a whole lot of Orwellian garbage day in and day out. But if you want to find out why this agenda is being forced so fervently of late, check out this mini documentary that I put together that explains the root causes of why this is happening. All right? Check it out. Let me know what you think about that. We'll see if we can create more documentaries like that. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.